Is it too late to bug out? Now that the crap is hitting the fan from coast to coast, if you're not feeling it, that you're some of the very well-to-do. But for the American that's probably in the same line that I am, you're taking notice. And if you're not taking notice, well, maybe this video will get you to take notice. Oh, good morning. My name is Tom. I come to you from the Rustic log cabin in Northern Maine. Welcome to my shop today. Too hot outside to play, so I'm working in the trapping shop today, getting ready for this fall. Terrible excited about bear season. Today I want to talk about, is it too late to bug out? Now that the crap is hitting the fan from coast to coast, if you're not feeling it, that you're some of the very well-to-do. But for the American that's probably in the same line that I am, you're taking notice. And if you're not taking notice, well, maybe this video will get you to take notice. But, you know, there's so many videos on YouTube about bugging out. You got to have a bug out bag. So I just thought I would do a short video here on my thoughts on bugging out and the bug out bag. Most of my thoughts on a bugging out and the bug out bag is those are people that are pushing products and gadgets and whatever else they can talk you into putting into a duffel bag and throwing it under your bed. At this late stage in the game, if you think that bugging out is going to save your bacon, you are sadly mistaken. Bugging out with no skills at all is not your answer. I don't know any other way to put it than that. I mean, I'm 50 years into this. I still learn stuff every single day. Every day I'm in the woods, I learn something new. And if I'm not learning something new, or I'm not getting something accomplished out in the woods, then I feel like it's a wasted day. So, you know, you building up a bug out bag filled with every kind of gadget that you can imagine, it's really not the answer. Skills are the answer. With skills, you don't need that bug out bag. You need a few things. You know, I mean, a single shot 22 is probably one of the first things you ought to put in that bag. Is it a big gun? No, it's not a big gun. Will you eat with this rifle? You better believe you'll eat with this rifle. Because small game is what's going to feed you. It's not the big stuff. The big stuff is the gravy train. You know, you get a chance to get a bear and you get a chance to get a deer. That's all the gravy train. That's all, we're living high on the hog. But for the most part, in the course of 12 months, in a year, yeah, you like that, in a year, for the most part, in the cost of, you know, with 12 months of living, it's the small game that's going to feed you. It's the squirrels, it's the rabbits, it's the fishing, the ability to be able to fish. And that doesn't mean you need a lot of equipment. I mean, I've got an ice fishing trap that I'm going to do a video on not too far down the future here, that you build right out in the woods with a hunting knife and a hatchet. You know, so the only thing you'd probably want to have in your pocket is some fishing line, a few hooks, stuff like that. It's not the big stuff, that duffel bag, 80-pound duffel bag full of everything you can imagine that's going to save you out there. That's not it. Skills. You'll see, the cabin that I stay in, yeah, that's filled with what I like to call MacGyver stuff. If you're old enough to know who MacGyver was, then you'll get my point here. My cabins have MacGyver stuff in them. Stuff that I can use from one thing to another. I call it save my bacon. If I get into a pickle, there's usually something on the shelf that can save my bacon. It get me out of a tough spot. You're not going to put that stuff into a bug out bag. And on top of that, where you bugging out to? You don't just jump in the woods and you're going to survive. I think that's what I find most humorous about these bug out videos. If you got a spot, like I consider Beaver Creek my spot for bugging out to, but it's a long-term plan. You don't just go out there and holy crap, the crap has hit the fan, and voila, I got a bug out spot. That's not how it works. You're living in the city, or you're living somewhere pretty scary that you need to bug out. Bugging out is not going out in the woods and building a lean-to, building a campfire, and I'm going to live here. That's called a camping trip. There's nothing wrong with that. That's called camping. A lot of people do it. That's fun. I like to take the boys on a camping trip. But that's not a bug out trip where you're going to go out and survive in the wilderness. It doesn't happen that way. There's too much knowledge that you don't have. Knowledge is king. Without that knowledge, you've got absolutely nothing bringing with you. I don't care how many trinkets you're carrying around in that bug out bag. If you don't have the knowledge to know where the animals are, that's number one. If you don't have the knowledge of how they live and how they survive, that's number two. You've got absolutely nothing. Same thing with fishing. You don't just walk up to a body of water, cast a line, and voila, you got supper. That's not how it happens. You need to know what a good fishing hole looks like. You need to know how you're going to catch those fish. You need to know the time of season that it is and what fish are biting right now. Same thing in hunting. Seasons. Everything has a season. You have a season. But that's why I'm kind of making fun here a little bit of this bug out plan that you see in so many videos on YouTube. Bug out, bug out, bug out. Where you going? Where you going? Someone's already there. Do you think they're just going to let you move in? They're not. Most of the land in the state of Maine is privately owned. It's not state land. It's not public land. It's not free land. It's private. And the rest of it's owned by the paper company. You think they're going to let you build a shelter in on paper company land and call that home? They're not going to. It's not going to happen. And don't think you're going to hide and they won't find you. They will find you. You might be able to hide for a little while, and you might be able to scamper around for a little while, but you're gonna get found out, because there's only so many roads into paper company land, and they're all gated, and they all have a person at that gate. You sign in and you sign out when you leave. They have it open to the public, and you can come in and stay as long as you want, I believe. I don't believe there's a cutoff day. But there's someone keeping track of you. So, again, we're going to go back to that other question. Bugging out. Where you going to go? And I would imagine other states are the same way. I mean, I can only talk for the state of Maine. But, knowledge is king. Over that bug out bag, knowledge is king. And if you go back in the very beginning of this channel, look in my archives, I spent a lot of time on fire building. I spent a lot of time on the little things that will make a difference for your comfort while you're out in the woods. You know, and none of them involve a 80-pound backpack full of gadgets. Simple materials, simple tools, simple gear. You know, I mean, I've got a carry-all bag that I did a video on, you know, what is that? I forget what I named that, but go back and watch some of those. I mean, this is a real channel doing real things in real time. As not absolutely any video that I've done that hasn't been a part of what I am doing that day. And if I think it's interesting for you, or you might be able to pick some knowledge up from it, then I set up the camera and I do a video on it. But I'm going to spend a little time here. Every once in a while I'm going to drop a video out on this stuff, because the crap is hitting the fan in this country. And I have a really bad idea that a lot of people think that they're just going to bug out. You know, trust me, that's a salesman selling you a bunch of gear. Because bugging out to a campsite is not going to save you bacon. If everything in this country gets worse than it already is, you're going to need a deeper plan than that. It's going to, you know, you're just going to have a deeper plan than a bag full of gear. You know, and then the other thing now, then you got the preppers, you know, that think that we're going to put up 500 cans of corn and 1,000 cans of beans and 5 tons of rice, and we're going to be all right there too. Oh my goodness. You know, I mean, I'm all for having food on the shelf. Don't get me wrong. But how much money are you going to spend on that? And everything has got a shelf life. You know, and again, I fall back on skills. My pantry is loaded. I like to think that I could live probably a year without doing anything. So that's my idea of being ahead. But that's just living in the state of Maine. You know, we have a tough winter here. We have summer to get our projects done. We have summer to plan for the next winter. That's been my lifestyle since I was born. My family did it. That's just the way it is. You know, but as far as to say that we got 5 years worth of corn on the shelf, or 5 years worth of whatever on the shelf, I don't think that's where it's at either. I think having skills and knowledge to use the resources that are in the state of Maine to supplement your diet is the way that I do it. And I think that's probably the best way to do it. Because like I said earlier, absolutely everything's got a shelf life. So there's certain ingredients. I deal mostly in ingredients, more so than, I just don't, you know, I can't imagine eating canned food out of a can for 5 years. You know, that's why I don't think that's the answer either to this grand bug out plan, now that the crap has hit the fan. And on top of that, if you're waiting until now to do it, you know, things are a little bit harder to get in the grocery store. You have to be a little bit more patient, I hear. So, you know, you might not have it this week, but you'll have it next week, or a couple of weeks from now, or reorder it. You know, so, you know, that's not the idea either. But having skills, and being willing to eat almost anything that'll walk by you out in the woods. I don't turn my nose up at anything, and I've tried just about everything. And I primarily go after food that no one else wants, because I think that's where the numbers are. I think that's how you're going to feed yourself better. More so than having, you know, like I said, 500 pounds of rice in the basement and 1,000 pounds of beans. There's fish that are in the state that no one else will fish for. That's all right. More for me. Those are the type of things that I go for. Same thing with the small animals. You know, 100 years ago, people ate them. Now we don't. Us Americans, we don't eat that kind of food anymore. Well, some of us. I do. I eat gray squirrel. I eat red squirrel. I eat raccoon. I love porcupine. These are the critters that are running around. That beaver. These are the critters that are running around that most people don't eat anymore. But they were the backbone of this country when this country was being started. So if it was good for those people, it ought to be good for you. I know it's good for me. You'll see I'm sitting in my trapping shed. This is brand new to me. I started this a year ago. I went and got my trapper's license. I started collecting traps. I wasn't quite ready for last year's trapping season. So this year I'm trying to get everything. Right now I'm in the trapping shop getting everything ready for the season, and then trying to figure out how we're going to fit it around bear season and deer season and just the way the trapping laws are set up. So there's certain things I will be able to capitalize on and other things I won't be able to capitalize on. Another thing that you can eat here in the state is muskrat. You know, trapping isn't just for the fur. Fur to me is going to be a byproduct of something that I can use or something I can play with, different things like that. I will not waste the fur, but it's not my intentions of going out there and trapping is for the fur. There's no money in trapping for fur from what I can gather right now. But where is the money? Well, for me it's in the meals. You know, if I get a beaver, how many meals are on a beaver? Same thing with half a dozen raccoons, stuff like that. All that stuff can be eaten, very good for you. Organic, everybody's talking organic, organic, organic. Well, nothing's more organic than what's out in the bush. It lives on mostly plant life with no fertilizers, any of that stuff. So, you know, take like a bear, you open him up, he's full of green grass most of the time. Or chokecherries, or raspberries, or blackberries. Any kind of berry he can get his hands on. All organic for that bear to eat. Same thing with the deer. You know, they primarily eat the grasses in the summertime. Very good animal to eat. And the same thing with all the little ones. You know, the smaller animals. That you ain't never ate anything so good as the porcupine. So the next time you're roaming around the grocery store, or the next time you're thinking about bugging out, think about some of the points in this video. I just don't think bugging out is your answer. As well as, you know, filling the house with every kind of canned good you can imagine, because everything has a shelf life. And any money that you spent on stuff that spoils is no good at all. And if things keep going the way it is, money is not going to be the answer either. So, you know, keep that in mind, I guess. And you guys have a great day, and I will see you next week.